Hello everyone, and welcome to SUNUP. I'm Lyndall Stout. It's the time of year when we like to look back at some of our favorite SUNUP stories from the past 12 months. And joining me today is the whole team, Curtis Hare, Ed Barron, and Dave Deacon. And the first story that comes to mind features the little beef producer from Pittsburgh County.
Yeah, this is a great story, and it's a relatively recently story. We aired this a few weeks back, I think, and this one was kind of came at a surprise. Dave actually sent this my way, and you know, I get there kind of sometimes when you do these stories with kids, it's a little tougher to kind of get them to talk, and you know, I get out there and she's just hopping out of the truck ready to do some work, and these cows are her cows, and she goes out there and works. It's whenever she sells them, they're in her name, and it was just a pleasure to be down there with that family.
It's a crisp fall morning on the Miller family farm. Perfect conditions for the hardest working ranch hand on this production. For 5-year-old Sadie Miller, working cattle is her favorite thing to do, although some days are easier than others.
Hey, buddy, stop. Can I just... Lucky. You are so naughty.
If you think a 5-year-old has no business pushing cattle, don't tell Sadie that.
All right, we gotta be calm. We gotta go to that corner and get those calves and bring them up here, okay? And we'll lock them up.
Gimme.
Yeah, she's getting almost too comfortable with the cows. Sometimes she wants to take off and go get a cow by herself, and we like to give her some independence, but also be right there in case something goes wrong to help her out.
That one's chewing up the wire.
Sadie!
Come here, baby.
You've gotta be kidding me.
She was out here when she was about a month old. It was the first time she probably saw a cow.
For Sadie's mom, LINDSEY, seeing her daughter take to the farm life at such a young age is a little more than surprising.
I was shocked to see that this was something that she was really interested in, and she's actually very knowledgeable about it for a 5-year-old. She knows way more than I do.
I put your tags out with this one, and I put pills in cow's mouth with this. I've seen people do this, but I've never done it before. If a cow got bit by a raccoon or something, I really want to put this on a towel and just scrub it.
It may seem Sadie is just helping out on the farm the way children like to do, but for her, it's an actual job. No, seriously, Sadie owns some of these calves.
This will be her 4th year to sell calves. Slowly we've built her up to 5 head.
Sadie's calves are part of the Oklahoma Quality Beef Network, and she takes part in both buying and selling cattle. What does she do with all that money? The answer is the reason her parents had her put on the ranching hat at such a young age.
We started Sadie a savings account when she was born, and we realized we weren't making much interest off of that savings account, so we decided to invest in cows for her instead. As she gets older, we hope to be able to use that for a college fund for her and to support whatever she wants her future to be.
The Miller family is just a really tremendous family. This is the next generation. They grow them young, start them young, and I just think it's tremendous that we have someone at this age that is interested in the OQBN program, preconditioning program, and doing the right things in the cattle business.
Following close behind her dad, Sadie is learning lessons on the ranch Wade learned from his father, a Miller family tradition.
In some of our pastures, she's the 4th generation of our family to wean a calf off of that land, so that's pretty neat.
For LINDSEY, the work ethic Sadie is developing and the lessons learned are invaluable, but most importantly, she's grown so much as a person.
She has always been very shy, and we've tried to do dance with her, and those things just made her really nervous and she wasn't interested. But 4-H, showing cattle, all of those things have made her really come out of her shell.
Sadie will continue to buy and sell cattle,
Let's go.
saving every bit she makes for her future. Well, maybe not all.
Well, sometimes when I lose a tooth, I don't save it.
And who knows? Maybe she'll continue with the Miller tradition and take over the reins of the cattle production. Although she thinks she's ready now.
I can open that door so I can close it. Dad, can you go get a cow?
In Pittsburgh County, I'm Curtis Hare.
And as Ed and I got to see, Sadie had a great time on sale day too.
Yeah, it was a great time to go out to the sale barn and see how she goes about doing all of her work.
We wish her well in the future. Now, another big story this year, of course, was the devastating flooding in Oklahoma in the spring. And Ed, you had quite a story to cover.
Yeah, we headed down to Kay County where we talked with a couple producers who were having to feed their cattle with airboats just from all the flooding. It was really interesting because we had the drone to see that perspective from up there where you really get a view of the devastation that the floods caused in the spring.
It looks like something out of Miami Vice, but it's right here in Oklahoma.
We got the fan boat about 3 years ago, mostly just for playing on the river and fishing, and it's been a great use here the last few days.
Like many Oklahomans, the Case family has struggled with the recent rains.
There were spots that was probably close to 10 foot.
A pasture once green with forage has become a chain of islands along the Arkansas River, dotted with cattle in desperate need of feed.
Went to work all day and then came home to flooded waters and unloaded boats and went out and fed cows with cake and hay, and we'll bring and put 6-8 bags on a boat for the weight wise so we don't sink the boats, and then we'll put 6 or 8 bales of hay on another boat and we'll haul it out to them.
Throughout the hardship, the Case family is well aware this isn't the first time Oklahoma has seen rains of historic levels.
It happened back in '86 and back in '73. They said this was worse than '86.
But the Case family has never witnessed anything like this.
Well, I woke up to the water being too high to get the cattle out. It was just one morning, the water was almost as high, about as high as it is now, and we didn't have an option.
The Case family, having lived in Ponca City for 10 years, only just dipping their toes into the ranching business.
This would definitely be one of our biggest adversities. We were just kind of getting started and just have a few head of cows, and so this is definitely the biggest challenge we've had.
But the Case family has one thing that helps them manage through the floods.
We've had gracious friends and family that have opened their homes and their pastures up that are dry to our horses and our other dogs, friends that have opened their homes to us, neighbors that have cooked dinner for us. We've been pretty blessed in that aspect.
And as for the future,
day by day, pray for no rain.
In Kay County, I'm Ed Barron.
Good morning and happy holidays. It's a pleasure for me to be able to visit with you and tell you a little bit about how much you mean to us. This is a kind of a dark time of year. The sun gets up late and goes to bed early, and so we find ourselves in darkness much of the time. I don't see my backyard in the daylight except on weekends, it seems like. And yet it's at this time of year that we celebrate with light. Perhaps it helps to counteract that darkness. But whether it's holiday lights on a tree in the house or perhaps out in the yard, the lit candles on the menorah, or a roaring fire out in the backyard, we seem to gather around that light as a way of celebrating our being together. And I think that's the key for us at this time of year, is that opportunity to come together with family and friends and remind ourselves how important each of them is to each of us. And so for us at OSU and the Division of Agricultural Sciences and Natural Resources, through cooperative extension, through our research programs, through our academic programs in the college, it really is an honor for us, and you are a light for us, to be able to share our lives with you, whether it's by your side on your farm or your ranch, or with your family in your home, or perhaps in a community setting, perhaps it's in a classroom. In all of those cases, we find meaning in our lives by being in service to you. And so I just want to say at this time of year, we're especially grateful that we have that opportunity to share our light with yours, to be of value to you in some way, helping you to improve your lives through our educational programs, through the research that we do. And we simply say thank you for the opportunity to be a part of your lives and to be that light, bringing the university to you wherever you may be. So at this time of year, we say happy holidays. and we wish you a fulfilling new year. And we look forward to working with you throughout that new year. Thank you.
If we could grow it, we didn't have a price. If we had a price, we couldn't grow it. But this year, the price has come up quite a little bit, and it's been a pretty good year.
It's been really good. Its test weights are great, 64, had some 65. Yields are good, 50 to 70 probably. So yeah, for up here, that's real good.
4 generations of Williams have actually farmed this Cimarron County land, which started with KB just after the Dust Bowl.
I was graduated from high school in '37. That's back there when we worried a lot about the dirt blowing if we didn't get the wheat to cover the ground, you know. And we generally sowed, if we got the moisture, we sowed in August back there just to get the ground covered in.
He worked like people today can't even imagine.
Well, it's amazing what he can do.
Yeah, I was never scared of work. And I just enjoyed farming real well.
It's just all he's done for so long that he doesn't want to quit.
Not many of them still got a grandpa that's 100 years old, runs a combine, but.
That's right. Troy said that his grandpa is 100 years old and still running a combine. If you've ever been in the cab watching the header glide through the wheat across an open prairie, you know it's a special feeling. It was the possibility to help with one more wheat harvest that motivated KB to fight after he fell and broke his hip a few months ago. He wanted to get back in the driver's seat for his 79th wheat harvest.
Go for it, as long as you can do it.
He spent a lot of time on the combine, and he said as long as he can get in there and sit, why, he was fine.
Well, he just loves it so much, you know. I can't tell him no.
He's probably out through with his farming now, but.
When a seed is planted, harvest is the goal. It's only through love, protection from what the Oklahoma Panhandle can throw at it, and a little rain, that a seed of wheat can grow into something bigger than itself. In a way, KB planted a seed, and it grew into a strong farming family that takes pride in all that it produces. If this is his final season to cut wheat, he sure is making the most of a victory lap for a Cimarron County farmer that grew more than crops. KB Williams grew a legacy.
Really, it's been a pretty good life. I wouldn't change it for anything else.
From just north of Keys in the Oklahoma Panhandle, I'm Dave Deacon.
Dave, I've liked a lot of your stories, but that one may just be my favorite.
Thank you. We were approached by a viewer, said, hey, my grandpa's 100 years old. He could be doing his final harvest, and would you be interested in doing a story? And we said, we will be there. And it was great to do that story in such a short amount of time. We shot that story and then turned it around in about a day because we had to make the show, but it was well worth it, and such an inspirational family and such a great guy to meet too.
Definitely one to remember. And now a word from our beef cattle specialist, Glenn Selk, who answers the question, can reindeer really fly?
We're just a few hours before the time when Santa's going to be loading that sleigh and heading out on that big long journey around the world on Christmas Eve. Now, being a scientist, I got curious about how this actually happens. How does those reindeer help Santa get all the way around the world and deliver those toys to good little boys and girls? So I started looking up some facts about reindeer. One of the first things I found was that historians have reported that reindeer have been domesticated or been used kind of like horses by man for over 5,000 years. Now, Santa's no spring chicken himself, so there's no doubt in my mind that they know how to get around and they're not going to get lost on Christmas Eve. And perhaps you're worried even more about whether those reindeer will get enough to eat to make that long journey. So again, let's go take a look at the science. Reindeer are ruminants. They're just like cattle in that regard. That means they have 4 compartments to their stomach. Now, The nutritionists here at Oklahoma State University have studied cattle for years and know that if they're fed roughage or forage, something like hay, then that hay takes longer to digest than something like grain. Now, how do these reindeer fly? I got to admit, that's the toughest one. But again, let's do a little research and see if we can figure this out. One of the things that I looked up was from the University of Alaska. They showed that a baby reindeer at 1 day of age can outrun their fastest graduate student. By the time it's an adult, just think how much speed they can build up. Reindeer are not like our white-tailed deer we have here in Oklahoma. These reindeer have antlers that are at least about 4 feet long when they're full grown. Each reindeer has 2. Each one of those is 4 feet long, so every reindeer has 8 foot of antler span. Now Santa's going to use 8 reindeer on a clear Christmas Eve. He's going to use Rudolph, makes 9 if it's a foggy Christmas Eve. That means that there's someplace between 64 and 72 feet of antler span that they can use to get the lift to get them up off the ground. Well, as I look through all of this information about reindeer, I've come to the conclusion that they can make that flight all the way around the world, that they can deliver those presents. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and go to bed early on Christmas Eve, and I'm going to stay asleep because I don't want Santa to miss my house this year, and I think that's a good idea for you as well. And like Santa would say, Merry Christmas to all, and to all, a good night.
We're having our Tulsa County Livestock Show. We're showing cattle, sheep, goats, and pigs today. This is kind of their first stop, to get to Tulsa State Fair. It's a good time to get out and just get their animals in the show ring, kind of work out any kinks that they need to fix before Tulsa State Fair.
I've shown for, I think, sheep it'll be 4 years, 5 years, and I've only lost it one time. But it's something like you always think about, like you think you're prepared, but something could go wrong if they could jump up and you lose them. So just nerves. When you show sheep, you don't show them with a halter. You just walk them in with your hand. So if they get out of control or something and your hand slips, they're gone.
This is Gloria Faith Lamb. She is my oldest and my biggest lamb this year. You have to get their connection. That's pretty hard to do when you have 2 because they trust each other, but when you get 1, they can just trust you. I like playing with livestock. I was raised around livestock. I love animals.
It just teaches them to have responsibility for something other than themselves. They have to feed, they have to exercise, they have to take care of the animal daily if they want to do well, but also it just gives them a good work ethic. I mean, we always say shows are won at home and not in the ring. Both of my boys were in 4-H and FFA, and I just feel like it gave them a tremendous work ethic above their peers that maybe didn't show livestock because they had that responsibility. They knew that if they didn't put the work in, they weren't going to get anything out of it.
So I have an older sister. When she became a freshman, she started showing hogs. So I kind of wanted to do what big sister was doing, and I've just been stuck with it ever since. Kind of like a family thing. So my family's really into it, and we're all really close with it. So it's just a lot of fun at that you can be as a family and do something. I think it's kind of cool to see the relationships with people because, I mean, you build, like even just in Tulsa County, there's so many friends from other chapters that you become close with because you all feel the same way about it. You know how much work you put into it, and you know how many late hours you stayed on a school night when you had homework and just putting in all the effort. I think it really pays off in the show ring when you do good. You kind of see that you were tired, but you pushed through it and it came out on top.
So today we are building scarecrows to enter into the county fair, and we're also painting kindness rocks for the garden.
South Rock Creek 4-H Club meetings are usually wonderfully hectic. Add county fair season into the mix, and the hectic meter jumps up a few notches.
We need to put the button.
For club leader Linda Goodson, this is how it should be.
So, do you want to water it when we get home?
We'll water it here. About twice a month we have gardening and fun games in the garden. And then we do crafts and we do robots and we plant.
Weather permitting, the garden is the headquarters for the 4-H club. Today's meeting is all about the scarecrow, an effigy that's supposed to resemble someone in particular.
It's good enough. Usually men have like things in their pockets.
So it's supposed to be, we have a principal, Coach Rosser, and we decided that we should make something that kind of looks like him. So we have a scarecrow that's dedicated to him.
Does it look like him?
No.
Garden projects and county fair scarecrows seem like a long-standing tradition for South Rock Creek 4-H'ers. It's not. The garden and the club are brand new.
4-H is countywide. We had clubs at Bethel and at Tecumseh, but we did not have a club here at this school. My grandchildren decided that they wanted to start showing sheep, and so we needed a club to join. And we also are going to talk about
last year, Linda started one. South Rock Creek is a rural school and community, so she didn't have high expectations for a big turnout.
The very first meeting that I had 35 kids that signed up. I was totally overwhelmed. I thought I'd have my grandchildren's very best friends and we'd have 6 or 8. But it really told me that the parents really saw a need.
We were so excited because we saw some other friends at different schools have 4-H, and we were like, we want that too.
So you're jealous?
Yeah. We were jealous.
And the first order of business for the club, constructing a community garden.
It just kind of came to me. I love kids and I love gardening, and two of my passions, and they just needed to go together.
I knew that Linda had great ideas for the garden, but seeing it as a completed project is super impressive.
Sitting right next to the school, the garden isn't just for 4-H use only. Its main purpose is for community outreach.
We decided on the picnic tables so the teachers can bring their classrooms and classwork out into the garden.
Vegetables are even harvested and served in the cafeteria.
It's really refreshing as a 4-H educator to see kids really enjoying what 4-H is. There's project areas for everyone. It's not just for livestock, it's for science and technology with public speaking.
Not everybody's going to be an athlete, and everybody's going to have their own little niche of things that they can do. And we offer a few things athletically here, but for a large number of our kids, there really wasn't something that they could get involved in.
A 4-H club is, in a way, much like a community garden. Its flourishing is determined by how much care, dedication, and teamwork is put into cultivating it. Attributes the South Rock Creek Club has, taught by the person who planted the seed in the first place.
Well, when Linda finds something that she has dedicated herself to want to do, it doesn't matter how much time, how much energy. If she had to spend all of her own money to do it, she would do it.
I have such a wonderful parents group base, and I have a lot of young ones this year that signed up, and it's those moms that carry the torch after I move on.
In Pottawatomie County, I'm Curtis Harris.
Great to see the impact that 4-H has on local communities, and this one happens to be yours.
Yeah, this is a school that I went to. My mom teaches there. It's a K-8 school, and it is a community. It's not just a school. The community is a little outside of Shawnee. It's still in the city limits, but the garden really has just benefited that community so much. I mean, there's families that don't even have their kids that go to that school, but they're able to utilize that garden, and it's awesome to see. When I was a kid, there was really nothing there. It was just kind of a barren pasture there, and now it's just a really flourishing garden.
Great to see. Well, gentlemen, great to look back at some of our stories that we got to do this year, and most importantly, the wonderful people that we got to work with and meet. And as we wind down, of course, our final gift of the year to our SUNUP viewers. Of course, the annual outtakes and bloopers we hope you enjoy. That does it for us. Happy holidays. See you later.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to SUNUP. I'm Lyndall Stout.
Talking about tariffs and imports and exports as far as commodities go, and Kim, you're not really impressed with that one, so we'll do it again.
I don't care.
No, the look on your face. The
look
on your face.
I don't care what you look like,
We're always hearing about cattle flatulence, but Dave, there's a kind of a misconception there, isn't there?
There sure is.
There was a bit of a price increase last week, and Kim, where are we with the price since then?
Well, I don't know.
Super.
A sporadic livestock disease not seen here since the 1990s has now been, I don't know what I'm trying to say.
We owe it all to a French chef. We don't. That goes back to the first one.
When it comes down to it,
Sorry.
You okay?
Yeah, the monitor was at full blast and it's in and out.
Oh. Well, much of Oklahoma finally got a break from the crap. I had to roll until it stopped me.
you started off with a larger than normal, I messed that up.
This came in 13.9 billion.
Oh, sorry, that's my bad.
You mentioned feedlots in there, so what's the feedlot situation looking like with this weather?
You want to start that? I can't even remember what questions I had.
Here's our Extension Pesticide Safety Specialist, crazy lady. 3.
It's starting to sprinkle.
Good.
Is it? Yeah.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Oh,
3.
I've got hair, I can't tell.
2.
Ouch. Here we go. Sun up, people.
Hey, the wind's blowing out of that direction, so don't give me that stuff.
Yeah, don't give me that stuff either. Come on.
Eric, I understand you and colleagues are working on a new decision tool to help people out with Farm Bill decisions. That sounded dumb.
Then if they're going to be using the wheat for forage and grain, or if they're going to be, I goofed up.
From the North Range Cattle Research Center, I was watching the sun. Sorry.
Well, we got
So obviously
Sound
industrial hemp. Test 1, 2.
Me, hello. Just want to make sure I could
Ed
talk.
is like, get on with it.
Well, your question kind of sucked, and I didn't want you to look bad on the tube, you know.
I understand.
Isn't that right, Ed?
Yeah.
What is this, an intervention? Yeah. And while you're there, check out our social media. We'll see you next week. And remember, Oklahoma agriculture starts at sunup.
We'll keep us posted.
Okay.
Thanks a lot, Kelly. And to read more about the latest on alfalfa weevils, and that sounded dumb too. What the heck?
Frolic in the cotton field into